Hey guys, how are you? Welcome into a Wednesday morning edition of the Daily Juice Podcast. Always being brought to you by BetMGM, always found on BettingPros audio, wherever you get your audio podcast. Video for the BettingPros YouTube channel, BetMGM with title sponsorship. The offer, it is a $10 bet to win $150 on any event with that promo code JUICE150 for new accounts when you sign up for a new account at BetMGM. All right, 2-0-1 last night. Man alive, that should have been a 3-0 night. I hate complaining like that because we didn't lose any money and we won 2 bets and pushed on Nova. But yikes. Did you see the end of that game? Colin Gillespie got fouled. That was not a jump ball. And then Colin Gillespie did not charge because he hit a UConn defender first and then hit the guy who was trying to draw the charge. Man, the referees got caught up in the atmosphere and they were not our friends. We did get lucky with that intentionally missed free throw at the end there. They could have hit that and we would have lost. Instead, we got a miracle push with 0.2 seconds left. I don't really know why they missed that shot. I mean, I guess to kill the clock, but 0.2? You have to tip it. You can't make a 3. Game's over. So, I don't know. Fine, I'll take the push. But, man, that up by 4 with about 50 seconds left, right? Up by 4. And we blow it, that stinks. So really a tough one for our Villanova to win the Big East bet. That's a killer, an absolute killer for us. We may lose 2 units on that play, which is, you combine that with Loyola maybe not winning the Valley, could be a 3-unit loss there in futures for college basketball. And I'm normally pretty good with futures. I mean, I was very good with futures in the NFL. I'm looking really good with futures in the NBA. I mean, we're going to cash that Warriors bet like in a week for over 47.5 wins for the Warriors. So normally I'm pretty good. Maybe not in college basketball this year. Not looking too great, but we'll see. Those things happen. We go in cycles, but nice winning day for us here from a Tuesday onto a Wednesday with 3 more bets for you, all in college basketball. I'm not going to go near hockey. I'm just not watching it enough right now to really have a great read. And I'm watching a lot of college basketball. So let's just stick with college basketball in the hardwood here. And let's start with the team that could very well burn us. Could burn us for our bet to win the Big East tournament or the Big East regular season, because Providence is at home against Xavier tonight. This game at the Dunk. Xavier on the road this year, 5-5 ATS, 13-13 overall. Providence 14-11 against the spread this season, 7-8 at home, 4-6 ATS over their last 10 games. They have failed to cover, however, over their last 3 games. Favored by 3 against Butler, won by 1. Catching 4 against Nova, lost by 5. Laying 9.5 against DePaul, they won by 3. A lot of people are saying this Providence team is overrated, that Ken Palm and the analytical people, they're just kind of downplaying them, that this is all, people aren't looking deep at the analytics. They're just looking at Ed Cooley and this roster, and they think that they've been lucky to win as many close games as they have. They've won a ton of 5-point or less basketball games, but this line tonight is 1.5, okay, against Xavier, who has lost 4 of their last 5 outright. They have lost their last 2 to Connecticut and St. John's by 11 and 13 points. They beat UConn at home, which was pretty surprising. Bad loss for Connecticut there on the road at Xavier. But then you had a loss to Seton Hall and a loss to DePaul, as they were 14-point favorites at home against DePaul, and they lost by 4. They were catching 3 points against Seton Hall. They lost by 2. They covered in that game, but then, St. John's and UConn, their last 2 games, Xavier's NCAA tournament hopes are really going down the drain. And I think Providence and their fans, they're feeling it now. With that loss by Nova, they're going to see a chance for them to win their first ever Big East regular season championship. They've won the tournament. They beat Creighton in the first year in the Doug McDermott senior year or junior year. Can't remember which one it was, but Ed Cooley beat Greg McDermott and Doug McDermott. I was there for that game at MSG. And they've won this tournament before, but they've never won in the history of the Big East. In all the basketball Providence has played, they have never won a regular season championship. And if they lose this game here, the door is open for that monster game coming up where they go on the road at Villanova this weekend. They have got to win this game here tonight. It's only 1.5. If you want to bet the money line, you can. We got burned with the Creighton game a couple days ago by laying 1.5, and they won by 1. I'm going to lay the 1.5 at home here. Hope they win by 2. And take Providence for a half a unit, minus 1.5 at home. I don't think they look past Xavier. I don't think this is a trap game. If it's a loss, our Nova bet to win the regular season, it's back on, okay? So maybe a little bit of a hedge here by taking Providence in this game, because if they lose this game, or if they win by 1, we could be in trouble by both. But if you want to bet money line, you can. I'm just going to lay the 1.5 points here. Half a unit, Providence at home for a half a unit. Speaking of the Creighton Blue Jays, oh, by the way, KenPom has this as a 2-point game, so you get a half a point of value at a KenPom. So the Creighton Blue Jays are on the road up against St. John's. I went and looked at some of these numbers. It's kind of interesting when you look at the Creighton Blue Jays, but according to KenPom, they have this as a 4-point win for St. John's. Okay, number's 5. So we got a 1 point of value there from the Creighton Blue Jays. But the Jays, over their last 3 wins over St. John's, they have scored 87 points at least in each of the last 3 victories over St. John's. They won 94-76 in Queens last year. They won 97-79 in Omaha last year. And they won 87-64 earlier this year. It's weird to see the Jays catching 5 points here. Having a hard time figuring this out. Now, St. John's is St. John's is this season 13-12-1 against the spread. 9-5-1 in the Big East. They've covered the last 3 games. They're 6-10-1 at home this year, though. The Jays on the road are 8-5 ATS. They are 8-5-2 ATS in the Big East Conference, and the Creighton Blue Jays have been playing pretty well. In fact, this team has now won 5 straight games. I don't mind a play on the over here. Okay, you want to go with the over, 147.5. Don't want to play on the over. However, Mike Anderson has a rough record against Greg McDermott. He has not coached well. With the Creighton Blue Jays being coached by Greg McDermott and Mike Anderson being the coach of St. John's, Coach Mack is 4-1 straight up against Mike Anderson. I mean, Mike Anderson won a bunch of games against Coach Mack when he was with Missouri, but that was when McDermott was at Iowa State. Overall, Greg McDermott is 12-5 against St. John's in his coaching career in the Big East. I still think Greg McDermott's not getting near the love that he should. This team was picked 9th in the Big East. They're currently so right now they are, what are they? They are they're in 4th place right now, heading into the night. In 4th place, could be higher, could be in 3rd. They win tonight. They win outright. This team is on the bubble. They are one of the last 4 teams to get in by most prognosticators. They need a victory here tonight against St. John's. I think they can get it done on the money line with how they're playing. I know St. John's is playing well. I know St. John's has been covering. They have covered the last 3 games. They beat Butler by 34 points in their last game. They beat Xavier by 13 points before that. They lost by 3 to UConn at home as 4.5-point home dogs. Lost to Nova by 6 in a push situation at home. They beat Butler by 3, laying 2 points. They beat Georgetown by 13, laying 4.5 points. But that first game against the Creighton Blue Jays just really sticks out. They lost by 23 points. They were 3.5-point road dogs, and they lost by 23. Now they're 5-point home favorites? Something doesn't look right with that number. Give me the Creighton Blue Jays, +5 on the road at St. John's for a half a unit. And the last play, give us 3 plays on the night, stinks. I'll just tell you, it's going to suck. The total for the West Virginia Mountaineers at Iowa State is 131.5. This is the highest total for a game here again for Iowa State. There's only one game with a higher total going all the way back to the 15th of January. That was against Kansas at home. Iowa State, the total was 135. The rest of the games are 127, 126, 128, 129, 122, 128, 127.5, 127.5, 128.5, 121.5. This game is 131.5. And you might say, well, why? Well, the reason is the first time these two teams played, the game went over. And it went over by 12.5 points because it was 79-63. That game was at West Virginia in Morgantown. This game now is being played in Ames, Iowa. At home this year, Iowa State is 10-7 to the under. They are 8-6 to the over in Big 12 play. And West Virginia is 11-3 to the over in Big 12 play. And they're 10-2 to the over on the road this season, okay? But here is my philosophy. Here is my theory right now with Iowa State. Iowa State can still make the NCAA tournament. Iowa State is very much alive for an at-large bid. They're 18-9, had some really big wins early in the year, and not so great wins. I mean, the Creighton wins looking better and better every day. The Iowa wins looking better and better every day. You know, they played Kansas tight both times, lost both games, but played tight. They just whipped up at Oklahoma. They beat TCU badly after the 4-game swoon where they lost to Kansas, Texas, West Virginia, and Kansas State. I think they have patched up the holes. They can't play up-tempo. They can't play fast. They've got to play like they did versus Kansas back in the beginning of January, 62-61. You know, they've got to, or against Texas Tech, 51-47. They've got to take the air out of the ball. They can't go up-tempo. I think this game very possibly goes under by a ways here. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be tough. But I think Iowa State is going to grind it. I'm going to play the under here. Under 131.5. West Virginia at Iowa State. Let's go against the trends here a little bit. Let's go against what we've seen for a lot of these teams in terms of what they like to do. West Virginia's had a really rough run of it. They are 14-13 on the year, 3-11 in Big 12 play. They've lost 4 straight games, 1-9. They're 3-9 on the road this year. Iowa State needs it desperately. 13-4 straight up at Hilton. I think they play their style. They dictate their tempo. I think Iowa State very well. I was thinking about looking at Iowa State and saying, okay, why don't we just go ahead and lay the 5.5? But I think this could be a dog play here. First move to this was on the dog in West Virginia. Opened at 5.5, moved to 5. Dog in the under seems like a good correlated bet there. Don't know about West Virginia. Not going to trust them. I'll take the under. 131.5 for Iowa State at home for a half a unit. Okay, 3 bets for us here on a Wednesday. Let's have another winning night here. We're going Providence minus 1.5 at home against Xavier. Creighton plus 5 on the road at St. John's. Iowa State, West Virginia, under 131.5 for a half a unit. My name is Matt Perrault. Every morning, it's the Daily Juice Podcast. Always being brought to you by BetMGM.